Hello, I'm Simon Whistler. You're watching TopTenzNet, and in the video today we're looking at the top 10 big American cities that are cheap to live in. We've all been there. It's the last Thursday of the month. You're slowly looking from your paycheck to the stack of bills beside the fridge and feeling your soul curl up and weep at how financially screwed you are. It can be a common feeling for many people who live in the US, especially if your postal address happens to include an NYC, San Francisco, or LA zip code. But fear not, there are plenty of other cheaper cities out there, and the best part is you won't even have to move abroad to find them. In the video today we're looking at the 10 cheapest large cities in the USA according to the website Numbio's Cost of Living Index, which takes into account things like rent, cost of groceries, average salaries, and so on. For this article, we're defining large as a city of over 200,000 or more people, which means poor old Shreveport, Louisiana, with a population of 198,242 just misses out, which would be its first ever mention on this channel. It'd be at number 6, by the way. We're also comparing each city against how much it costs to live in New York, so you'll be seeing a lot of sentences like number 10, Dallas, 29.8% cheaper than New York. Got all of that? Well, great. Let's get started. Number 10, Dallas, Texas, 29.8% cheaper than New York. Alright, it's off to the Lone Star State to kickstart this article with Texas's 3 big S's: style, sharpshooting, and secessionism. Despite its snigger-inducing nickname of the Big D, Dallas ain't actually the biggest urban sprawl in the state. With a population of 1.3 million, it's behind both San Antonio and Houston, and only slightly ahead of Austin. But while Texas's Big D might not win on size alone, we all know that size isn't everything. Dallas has it where it matters. At nearly 30% cheaper than NYC, it's a big, vibrant city that nearly anyone can afford to live in. Whether you would want to entirely depends on your attitude to skyscrapers and urban sprawl. Dallas is seriously spread out. The city truly came of age in the post-war period, which means everything is designed for cars. Despite this, it's also a city steeped in popular history. Dallas, of course, was filmed here. One of the only football teams non-Americans can name, thanks in no small part to their equally famous cheerleaders, is based here, and on a darker note, this was also the city where JFK was assassinated. So, well, what are the benefits of upping sticks and moving to Dallas? Well, there's fine dining, a thriving music scene, and a new arts district to help you flex those cultural muscles. Number 9, Rochester, New York, 30.29% cheaper than New York City. With a population of 209,983, Rochester, New York just barely squeaks onto our list of large cities. Balanced precariously on the edge of Lake Ontario, it's a city that at first seems like little more than a diversion from the fact that you left NYC over 5 hours ago and are somehow still in New York. But look closer, and the sleepy aspect peels away to reveal a city that's not only absurdly affordable to live in, but stunningly beautiful to boot. Here are some numbers. In Rochester, it's totally possible to rent a small apartment in the city center for under $850 a month. Know how much the same apartment would cost in New York? Well, try over $2,000 a month more, and that's not even including the fact that you'd be sharing it with as many rats as you have unsealed food containers. Yes, Rochester is a city where you don't have to either work in finance or sell a kidney to set up shop. New York might have the nightlife and the entertainment, but Rochester has the stability that comes with knowing you aren't one missed paycheck away from being thrown out on your ear and forced to join the mole people. Number 8, Madison, Wisconsin, 30.43% cheaper than New York City. Why Madison? No, the city's semi-official slogan isn't a cry of existential despair or even an ironic joke that can only be answered with, well, why not? It's actually meant to be an invitation to come and share in the life of a city most of us know relatively little about, to celebrate its beauty, its way of life, its ease of doing business. Remarkably, those who came up with it may have had a point. Stretching on a narrow isthmus across 3 picturesque lakes, Madison is probably the prettiest city none of us have ever been to. Mostly famous for its university, Madison benefits from a relaxed student vibe, something that applies to affordability as much as it does to nightlife. While only a fraction cheaper than Rochester, Madison is still the sort of budget utopia most of us can only dream of buying property in. Interestingly, renting is actually more expensive here, so whether you choose to move to Madison or Rochester will probably depend on whether you intend to become a homeowner or not. So, well, let's say you take the plunge. What the heck is there to do in Madison? Well, here's the geographical bonus. Madison is less than a 90-minute drive from Milwaukee. If you find yourself craving the brighter lights, you can hop in your car and be among cosmopolitan society in no time. Number 7, Kansas City, Missouri, 30.91% cheaper than New York City. Stubbornly situated just over the border from actual Kansas, Kansas City is big, sprawling, covered with glass buildings, and so cheap moving there will make you feel like a budget Don Draper. According to Numbeo, a monthly income of $3,572 will go as far in Kansas City as an income of $7,300 would in New York City. $7,300 a month is a pretty extraordinary figure. So the question now is, how does Kansas City stack up as a place to live? Well, that all kind of depends on what you want to get out of life. If you like barbecue, for example, and aren't a die-hard Texas barbecue is best sort of person, then Kansas City is already looking pretty sweet. Likewise, if you want jazz and oodles of significant black history, then 18th and Vine downtown area has you covered. On the other hand, if you like hiking in the mountains, the buzz that comes from living in a city of just over 1 million people or just being really, really far away from tornadoes, then you should probably look elsewhere. Number 6. Phoenix, Arizona. 30.92% cheaper than New York City. Remember that checklist we just jokingly ran through for Kansas City? Well, that wasn't us just pulling words out of our backsides. There really is a city you can live in that buzzes with a population of 1.6 million people, 4.3 million in the larger metropolitan area, has wonderful mountains in easy driving distance, and is as cheap as Kansas City. The name of this utopia? Well, that's Phoenix. The enormous state capital of Arizona is so big and so cheap it could make a killing working as a fat guy for hire. Only one other major urban center in the US is as cheap as Phoenix, and yes, we're going to remember to cover it. Nearly everywhere else still to go on this list has populations comfortably under the 1 million mark. It scores highly on most quality of life indexes, with the only major downside being pollution, lots of it, and the probability of you saving enough to outright buy a home. That probability is low. It also scores highly on levels of sunlight, with Phoenix being one of the hottest, sunniest cities in America. Number 5. Albuquerque, New Mexico. 33.14% cheaper than New York City. Deep in the historic heart of New Mexico, Albuquerque is a sight for sore eyes. Its 300-year-old historic heart, dated to 1706, still stands in excellent condition, flanked by a whole bunch of later buildings from the Victorian era. Coming from a country where something's basically old if it predates World War II, Albuquerque feels like something from another universe. Not bad for a city otherwise only famous for its hot air balloons. Unlike some on this list, Albuquerque is cheap for renters, something any millennial reading this will statistically be happy to hear. Single-bedroom apartments in the city center go for as little as $750 a month, while a 3-bed on the outskirts will barely cost you more than $1,000. And, well, you know who can afford $750 a month? Literally everyone who isn't unemployed, utterly lacking in self-control, or in serious debt to a dude named Mr. Big. On top of all of that, Albuquerque is also situated in the middle of some of the Southwest's most spectacular scenery. Tired of the endless sleet and rain and misery of wherever you're living right now? Well, hop on a plane to New Mexico. Stat. Number 4. Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. 33.79% cheaper than New York City. Oklahoma City certainly has its upsides. Since you've been watching the video for this long, you can probably guess what the biggest of those upsides is. Oklahoma City is so cheap that it almost hurts. This is probably a good thing, as the city itself isn't too much to look at. Some glass, some towers, a whole lot of flatness. On a serious note though, Oklahoma City is said to be quite pleasant when you get inside and start exploring. Travel guide Lonely Planet picks it out as one of the best cities for exploring cowboy culture and heritage without having to trek out into the middle of nowhere. Speaking of the past, Oklahoma City is a town that's been forever linked with 2 tragedies. The 1995 bombing, which destroyed the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building and killed 168, and the 1999 tornado outbreak, which flattened half of the city, killing 36. The recovery and rebuilding after both of these tragedies has been both moving and inspiring. Number 3. Tucson, Arizona. 36.13% cheaper than New York City. Emerging from the dark desert in a spooky galaxy of lights, Tucson, Arizona is almost like something out of a sci-fi film. The city's cost of living is similarly out of this world. As of 2016, you can rent an apartment outside the city center for as little as $565 per month. Sure, it's a small city with a population of barely over 500,000, but I mean, come on, when was the last time you did anything for a whole month for $565? There are probably places in New York City where it costs more than that to get your trousers dry cleaned. Then there's Tucson's location. It's only 2 hours from the bright lights and city-based decadence of Phoenix, and barely an hour from the Mexican border. It kind of feels like straddling 2 completely different worlds. Like Albuquerque, it's got a fair share of historic Spanish architecture, but also a hardcore modern American vibe going for it, one that's only helped by the presence of the University of Arizona. Number 2. San Antonio, Texas, 37.5% cheaper than NYC. Half the state away from Dallas lies perhaps the only city able to challenge the Big D on its own terms. San Antonio is big, so big in fact that only mighty Houston can claim to be bigger. But while Houston is quintessentially Texas and only 24.6% less expensive than NYC, in case you were wondering, San Antonio is Texas for the young and carefree and vaguely hipster. Forget putting on a 10-gallon hat and shooting JR in San Antonio. The best way to spend your free time is by taking advantage of a bicycle share and going for a leisurely picnic by the river. Oh, and did we mention the river? Well, this is what it looks like at night, like some dreamy slice of southern European life rather than a patch of Texas. That's because San Antonio is all al fresco dining and sharing time with friends, a nice break from the usual frantic scrabble for money, oil, or barbecue that characterizes the state's other big cities. And on top of all of that, you've also got the Alamo. What can we say? Except perhaps, well, see you in San Antonio. Number 1. Reno, Nevada, 38.22% cheaper than New York City. Here we are at last, the cheapest large city in the USA. In fact, it's almost the cheapest city, full stop. Only Athens, Georgia and Springfield, Missouri have a lower cost of living than Reno. But neither of them has a population over 160,000, while Reno just about squeaks onto our list with a population of about 237,000 souls calling it home. Not many, but enough for it to feel like an actual city rather than a big town with unfortunate pretensions. And Reno is still very, very cheap to live in. According to Numbeo, it's actually cheaper than San Jose in Costa Rica, Beirut in Lebanon, or Newcastle in the UK. Of course, Reno isn't for everyone. Essentially Las Vegas, for those who've never heard of the original Sin City, downtown Reno is a neon-drenched gambling mecca that would be impressive if it weren't situated in the same state as the biggest gambling mecca of all. But wait, there is more, because travel experts Lonely Planet recently praised Reno's endless parklands, funky new bar scene, and super friendly locals. Then there's the gigantic Tesla gigafactory Elon Musk is about to open in the city, which is sure to send employment and prices skyrocketing. Our advice is get in there now before Reno starts falling down these affordability rankings. So I really hope you found that video interesting. If you did, please do hit that thumbs up button below, and don't forget to subscribe for brand new videos just like this every day of the week. Also over there on the right, a couple of other videos that you might enjoy if you enjoyed this one, and thank you for watching.